Hi everyone, in this video I would like to explain how my previous knowledge of syllabus development and language assessment can become a foundation for developing language materials. Actually, from my experience last semester, I did not study syllabus development only as theory. Most of the time, I work on lesson plans. So, I think my understanding of syllabus development mainly came from the process of planning lessons, deciding learning objective, choosing activities, materials, and assessments. First, let me talk about the relationships between syllabus and materials. From developing lesson plans, I learned that material should not be chosen randomly. They have to be connected to what students are expected to learn. Before deciding what materials to use, we need to understand the learning objective and the students' needs. For example, when developing a lesson using the GBA stage, we can organize the learning activities into several stages, such as building knowledge of the field, modeling of the text, joint construction of the text, and independent construction of the text. Each stage requires different kinds of materials. In BKLF, for example, students may need vocabulary, background, or activities that help them understand the topic. Then, in MOT, students can be given example text. They can look at the structure, language features, and how the text is organized. After that, in joint construction, students can work together with the teacher to produce a text. Finally, in independent construction, students can create their own text. So, from this experience, I learned that materials should support the learning process and help students gradually achieve the learning objective. The second connection is between assessment and materials. From my previous experience in making lesson plans, I learned that assessment should also be connected to the learning objective. We need to make sure that what we teach and what we assess are aligned. For example, if the learning objective requires students to be able to write a particular type of text, then the material should prepare them for that assessment. We can provide examples, vocabulary activities, exercises, guide practice, and finally independent practice. In other words, students should not suddenly be asked to do an assessment without having enough preparation from the learning materials. This is why assessment principles are also important when developing language materials. By knowing what students are expected to demonstrate in the assessment, we can design materials that give them appropriate practice and support. So, if I put these ideas together, I see syllabus, assessment, and materials are three things that are closely connected. The syllabus gives us a direction about what students need to learn. The learning objective tells us what students should be able to do. Assessment tells us how we can check whether they have achieved those objectives. Meanwhile, material provide the learning support and activities that help students reach those objectives. Therefore, my previous experience with lesson planning, learning objective, and the GBA stage, classroom activities, and the assessment has helped me understanding the basic connection between syllabus, assessment, and material development. In conclusion, developing language materials is not simply about creating interesting exercises or choosing attractive content. The material need to have a clear purpose. They should be based on the learning objective, support the learning process, and prepare students for the assessment. So, for me, syllabus and assessment work together as a guide, while language materials become the bridge that helps students move from the learning objective to the expected learning outcomes. So that's all from me. Thank you for watching. Thank you.